Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today at Earn More and Live More. I am your host, Lou Perica here. So, what I do for those of you who do not know me, let me just read. Oh, an error occurred. Wait a moment, then try again. Hold on. Let's see, is this right? Okay. I just got an error message here, so let me start over again here. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me here at Earn More and Live More. I am your host, Lou Perica. Let me just take the sound off of my phone. What I do for those of you who don't know me is what I do is I help real estate professionals become the best version of themselves by shifting the way they think, releasing limiting beliefs so they can create the freedom that they desire and deserve in their finances, their careers, and in their personal lives. And I truly believe what I share in these trainings is unlike any other program or system out there. We work with the mind and with universal laws. And what I do is I help put the pieces of the puzzle of life together in an easy to understand way so you can make the necessary changes to create a wonderful, meaningful, prosperous life. So let's get started. Again, thank you for joining me. So today's training is fear and growth go hand in hand. And I've started really to embrace fear. And when we courageously face fear, the thing, whatever it is that we fear, we automatically experience the growth that we've been seeking. Elenor Roosevelt, her quote says, "You must do the thing that you think you cannot do." So, in today's class, we're going to focus on the fear pertaining to your goals and your big ideas. Let me just take a quick sip here. So, what do you do when you do get a big idea? Do you think about it? Do you consider it? And then perhaps toss it away? That's what I used to do. Do you start to think, well, I don't know the hows? Or maybe you think that this big idea is for someone else to create, but not me. Maybe you are a person that has a lot of great ideas, but you don't execute them. Here's the thing, you are not alone. Most of us, most people never bring their ideas to fruition. And here's something a little sad. Many people die with their song still in them. They never took chances, they never took risks. So they really never got to know what they were capable of doing because of fear. So, what happens in the process from receiving the idea to totally discarding the idea? It's our self image and our conditioning. I talk about this probably during every training because this is the truth. This is what prevents us. We've been living with our conditioning all our lives, so we're very familiar with how we feel. We know what triggers us. We know what makes us feel better or comfortable. And this is also known as our comfort zone. And there are times in our lives when we receive some great ideas, and who knows how many $1 million ideas we may have received, but we totally discarded them, thinking that we could never pull that off. But let's say you do get a big idea, you do have a big goal, and you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going for it. I may not know how, but I'm going to give it my best shot. You start giving this idea some conscious attention. You start thinking about it. And you're starting to get emotionally involved with the idea. You're starting to see the image in your mind's eye, and it kind of excites you and scares you at the same time. And you really want to go for it, but you're scared. You have the desire, but the doubts start creeping in. This must sound familiar because I know it happens to me still. When I hit that go live button, I still get a little nervous, right? It's through repetition. But we all go through this. You know, when those doubts start creeping in, you want to take action, but you can't. You kind of freeze because you hit a wall. We call this wall in my program, we call this wall the terror barrier. And if we don't crash through that wall of fear, what we do is we bounce right off of it, right back to our comfort zone, or really to bondage. So, what's happening is this new idea, this big idea, is not in harmony with your current conditioning. This big idea calls for us to think and do things differently, to create a new experience. And this does not sit well with our programming. We've developed a habitual way of thinking, of feeling, and of behaving, which gives us the same results more or less over and over. If we do something differently, it's the unknown, and this can cause the fear. What if I fail? What if I make a fool of myself? What if I don't know the hows? What if this is just some fluky idea? All these what ifs start entering our mind. But do you ever ask yourself, what if I fly? What if I figure it out as I go along? What if everyone congratulates me? What if this was the greatest thing I ever did so far? This type of thinking, the lateral type of thinking, probably goes against the grain of the typical way you think. You may be conditioned to think the impossible instead of the possibilities. I used to be this way, so I get it. I used to get fearful. I used to bounce off that terror barrier. I now understand through study of self that I have a choice, fear or faith. Both demand that you believe in something. Both demand that you believe in the invisible. I now choose faith. However, I now also welcome fear because I know I'm about to grow. See, fear, I've learned to now embrace it because I'm doing something that my programming is not comfortable with. It means I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, and this can create some fear, right? Some worry, doubt, and fear. So now when I become a little bit nervous about doing something, a little bit fearful, I'm like, okay, okay, another growth spurt is coming. And I understand that fear really comes from ignorance. It's the not knowing. When we don't know something, when we're ignorant about something, we start to ask ourselves all kinds of questions. And these questions can really start to cause doubt and worry. And all as the doubt starts to internalize itself, it starts to cause the fear. And the fear must express itself through the body. And this is commonly known as anxiety. I've mentioned many times in the past trainings, is our body, as magnificent as it is an expression for the mind. It's the mind expresses itself through the body. So this is why our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings create our behavior. Our behavior creates the results. This is the creative process. So when you're feeling something, whether it's fear, happiness, joy, anxiety, any of these things, they're all expressed through the body, right? So the opposite of ignorance is knowledge. And when we gather knowledge through study, we start to develop an understanding of what is happening to us. And we know how to deal with it much better because we understand the process that we're going through when we're about to hit that terror barrier. Think about a first time home buyer, for all my real estate professionals. Here's a person, let's just say it's a person, I don't know, single person or something. They've been renting all their lives. And they're pretty comfortable. They don't have to worry about anything. They just pay their rent and the landlord takes care of everything. But in the back of their mind, maybe they've thought about buying a home. Their friends all own a home. And one day, let's say the landlord gives them a notice that they're either going to raise the rent or that they have to move out because they have family members moving in the house. So now this first time home buyer starts thinking, they start considering buying a home. And they're a little uncomfortable with this because they've been so comfortable renting for years. So taking on this responsibility is something new to their conditioning. But the more they start thinking about it, they become emotionally involved with the idea of home ownership, the freedom. They don't have to worry about the rent being raised. They don't have to worry about being kicked out of a home. They start developing roots in the community, right? So all these things that they're starting to think about, they can paint the walls if they choose. They can have a barbecue if they choose. So now they're becoming emotionally involved with the idea. This idea planted in the subconscious mind puts the body into motion. This is what causes now the person is going to pick up a phone, right? They're going to pick up the phone. Well, I guess I have to speak to a real estate agent because I have no idea where to start. And this is how the whole process begins. So you start showing them house after house, etc. You finally find one, and now it's time to write up an offer. They get scared. They get scared. They know they have the money because they've been pre-approved. They like this house, but they're scared. And what's happening is their new idea of becoming a homeowner is not in harmony with their comfort zone. Like I've been renting for years and they're having all these mixed emotions. And either sometimes they'll withdraw, oh, forget it. They'll freeze and say, no, I don't want to put in an offer. Or perhaps they really need to be walked through the process, right? You have to go over everything while writing up the offer and explaining step by step. And what's happening is that buyer is gathering knowledge, they're gathering information. The more information and knowledge they have, the more at ease they're becoming. This makes sense because they were entering into the unknown. They don't know the offer process because you didn't really talk too much about that maybe on your buyer's consultation. Now you're entering into it. So all these thoughts, worries, and doubts start coming up. So this is when you understand this, you can start to understand your clients better. So what happens is you go through, you explain the offer. That first offer might take you a long time to write up. And let's just say they don't get their offer accepted this first time. The next time becomes a little bit easier. The next time, a little bit easier. Sometimes, depending on how many offers you've had to write up, they're just signing their name. The fear is gone. because now they understand the process, right? So think about a time when you had to face fear head on. Did you retreat? If you did, how did that make you feel? But if you pushed through the fear, how did you feel, right? And most likely, those moments that you pushed through the fear were some of the greatest victories in your life. So, fear and growth, they go hand in hand. There is an essence that lies within each and every one of us. This essence is calling out for us to grow. This is why when we receive big ideas, those ideas are calling for us to grow, to get out of our comfort zone. Those ideas are given to us specifically, and if we don't act on them, they move on. This spirit within us wants to express and expand itself in a greater way. And this is why we get inspired or motivated when we hear something that resonates and excites us. It's the spirit within us that is in harmony with what we're hearing or whatever it is that we're experiencing. And this is what makes life exciting and fulfilling. This is what causes civilization to grow and expand. This strong desire to manifest a big idea is what every person who has ever done anything worth mentioning, or worth achieving goes through. They face the fears, they face the obstacles, they face the ridicule, and they're so determined and they persist regardless of what's going on, regardless of the circumstances. And this is what causes the greatest achievements in mankind, the greatest achievements that we get to enjoy. Those people went through this process. They went through getting the big ideas, receiving the big ideas, thinking about it, becoming emotionally involved with the idea, and then going and doing whatever it takes to make that idea manifest, to make it come into fruition. Our potential is limitless. It's only bound by the laws of nature. And what limits us is our own thinking, our own limiting beliefs, our self image and concept of what we hold of ourselves. This is what holds us back. So, Lou, thank you. But what can we do to get through this terror barrier? Number one, you must know what you really want. That is key. That is the key thing. That is lesson one in my program. You must know what you really want. And it's got to be something you've never done before, because this is where the growth comes in. If you've already done it, there's no growth. You don't have to know the hows. And this is what stops a lot of people. Well, I have no idea. Or maybe they know the first couple of steps, the first couple of hows, if you will. After that, and when they start thinking about that, they retreat, they pull back. This idea of this goal should be one that excites you and scares you at the same time. But you must ask yourself, is this what I really, really want? Once you've decided on what it is that you want, you must make a committed decision that you are willing to do whatever it takes, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, and that you're willing to commit your life to this goal, to this idea. And again, Lou, that's a pretty big idea, to commit my life. But think about this. You're already committing your life to something. It may as well be something that you really want. Mhm. Um, Motivation, right? So sometimes we do things because we're motivated, but motivation is short lived. You must develop discipline, and discipline is what sets you free. When you start, none of us really like the word discipline, but I can tell you the more I'm embracing discipline, the more freer I feel. So start getting very get this idea and start becoming very emotional with this new idea. Really emotionally connect with it and ask yourself some of these questions. And you want to ask yourself these questions from the goal already achieved. This is key. You must think from the goal already achieved. Ask yourself, who do I have to become to achieve this goal? Because the you now who's doing the same thing is going to get the same results. You're going after something new. So you must step into a new pair of shoes, so to speak, a new energy. You must become that person with the goal achieved. Ask yourself, how does this person think? Again, think from the goal already achieved. You need to think, or we need to think in a new way, not our old thinking. Our old thinking will give us our old results. What action steps would this person take? What extra knowledge would I need to know? And who can I get some help from that already has done this and came from where I'm coming from now? We must, this is key, listen up, we must act as if. And this is what stops a lot of people. They're doing the same things over and over. When I speak to prospects or new clients, and they tell me what their goal is, and it's a very logical goal. Maybe they're going to up their game 10%, their sales or their income, and it's very logical. The thing is, if they continue to do what they've always done, but they want better results, they're going to have to just work harder. And this is why there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of burnout because you're doing the same thing over and over, but just doing more of it and harder, right? So we must act as if, right? That person that's already achieved the goal. New action is required. New experiences. Experience something different. Use your imagination. This is what it's for. Acting as if the goal already achieved, what it will do is it's going to confuse the subconscious mind. And this is where all our habits and programming self-image is located. And it will start to believe the new idea. See, the subconscious mind doesn't know what is real and what is imagined. It cannot reject an idea or a thought. It must accept. This is what's so key. And this is why new thoughts, new experiences, new images are so important. When we start to change the concept of ourselves and act as if, the universe conspires to alter our circumstances, our conditions, and environments. And that will match the energy that we put out. We don't get what we want, we get who we are. Big goals bring out other versions of us that we didn't even know existed. And this is why the big goals is going to pull out of you skills and talents and abilities that you didn't even know were there. They've been laying dormant. And it's the big idea. It's a new, exciting idea that calls forth this other version of you. And as we continue to impress the new image and take new actions, we're going to start to replace old ideas with new ideas, old thoughts with new thoughts, old actions with new actions. And what are we going to experience? We're going to experience new results. So if you feel fear, when you're setting out to do something you've never done before, get excited because it means you're growing, you're stretching yourself. Think about it. What's holding you back now? If you really think about it, where's my question up here? Oh, of all the things that I was told when I was young, what's the one single thing that's holding me back the most? And think about that. And then ask yourself, is it true? And if you remove that limiting belief, you say, you know what, Lou, it's not true. Is there another one and another one? You'll start to see it really is just our limiting beliefs that is holding us back. No one knows what we are capable of achieving. So welcome fear, say thank you, and say, I've got this. I hope you enjoyed today's training, and I hope that it helps someone, whether you watched it live or catching the replay. I truly appreciate you being here. And next week, I have a special guest. His name is Noah McIntyre, and he is a gratitude expert. He's going to be sharing with us the science behind gratitude. So watch out for that event. Again, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.